of death or conversion in Iraq, all while ISIS militants continued toward their goal in what by all accounts is a Christian genocide. With me now, Father Gabriel Ade, Reverend of the Syriac Orthodox Church, and In Defense of Christians, Senior Advisor and documentary filmmaker, Jordan Alot. All right, gentlemen, the brutality that we're hearing about is unthinkable. You've both been in contact with Christians in Iraq. Father, what are they telling you?
Well, what they're telling me, really, nothing has changed. The situation is getting worse and worse. People are not receiving any of this humanitarian airdrop food or drinks. They're saying that the water gets blown up in the air before it gets to earth. You know,
so they're not getting
mountains.
food?
Even the food, they get it as drops in the ground, and they have to go pick it up on the ground, or they have to go lick with the water from the rocks where they fell.
And Jordan, what are you hearing?
We have many contacts in the Mosul and Erbil area, and they said the same thing, that the situation has been getting worse over the last couple of weeks. There's one man in particular that I've been talking to the last few days, and he's pretty much holed up in his house. A few days ago, he was able to get his family out. ISIS rolled in, took over the town. It's between Mosul and Erbil, and he's stuck there. He's afraid to leave. He's been told to stay in his home. He doesn't have food. He doesn't have water. A friend of his tried to leave, was actually shot on his motorcycle trying to flee the area. So he's very concerned. His family is concerned. What is he going to do? Is he going to starve to death? Is he going to get killed trying to leave? They just don't know.
You know, Father, it sounds like that they're becoming ghost towns because they're telling people to leave or die or convert.
Or convert.
And so Waleed Phares was just on. He said something very interesting. He said ISIS is going to start bringing their people into these towns and inhabiting these towns.
Well, I wouldn't doubt that. For the last month, our lobbyists have been telling the world. A group of lobbyists that are called Demand for Action in Europe. They have trying to raise awareness in the whole world about ISIS and where ISIS is expanding to other towns, other cities, other countries. And yet, it seems to me like the whole world was so silent. Nobody did anything about it.
Reminds me of another time in history, Father, but let me ask you this.
Yes, I
When
understand.
you hear about children being beheaded, why would anyone do that?
Well, that is not normal. These are not human beings that are committing these crimes. They are barbaric people. They are brainwashed to do something like this against the Christians, against the Syriac, Assyrian, Chaldean, the indigenous of people of this land. I'll tell you,
Go ahead.
yesterday, the United Nations celebrated the International Day of the World Indigenous People. And Ban Ki-moon said that it is the responsibility of the world and the whole nations to protect, to ensure the legal rights of the indigenous people.
No, it seems that that's a problem that a lot of people are not dealing with.
And yet, it took him 10 days
To say
this, to respond to this.
Oh.
And about what? Who are the Assyrians? Who are the Syriacs? Who are the Chaldeans? Weren't they the indigenous people of this land? But
Okay.
it took them just an attack on the city of Sinjar, where there were Yazidis there, and the Peshmerga who ran away from things, just to raise their awareness, to start speaking about these people.
Well,
Listen, I'm not
it's
against that
interesting.
idea.
Jordan, the Father raises a very important
I'm not
point.
against- I'm
And
not
that's
against-
why 170,000 killed, we've got children being beheaded, and yet now all of a sudden we can't turn a blind eye. And that's what Father Ade is
I'm not
talking about.
against the idea as why
I
not
know.
helping the Yazidi.
We
That's a
all wanna
great
help
thing.
them.
That's
But
a wonderful thing.
Jordan, what do you attribute that to?
Well, I think that our elected officials, the only thing they care about is getting reelected. So we need to, and you're doing a great job with this, but the media in general isn't and hasn't. We need to make people aware, and so that they can put pressure on their elected officials to do something.
To do
And so
what?
far that
To do
hasn't.
what? I mean, you've got a president who's saying, I'm not going in until
Well,
they have a
here-
unity government. You know, when hell freezes over, they'll have a unity government in Iraq.
Right. Well, humanitarian aid would be a great start. In Erbil, for example, there are thousands of refugees who are just living in parks and on any green area that they can find.
Children
and they're
are
not being helped at
dying
all.
of hunger and starvation. It is a worldwide embarrassment. Father Adi and Jordan, thanks so much for being with
Thank
us
you.
this
Thank
evening. All right, coming up, Israel and Hamas accept yet another ceasefire in Gaza.